Good evening and welcome to the We Are Rise show. I'm your host, Brett C. Collins. How you doing on this Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening? Where you're from, where you're at? How's the weather where you are? Very warm over here. It's really nice. It's a nice change. Helps out my eczema. I could tell you that right now. It's really good. Tonight's show, Iran was triggered. We're going to break this down in a lot of ways. Maybe, we're not really understanding why and the how this war became what it is. I know a lot of people are spinning on X about a lot of things because they're just, they're screaming bloody hell and they can't handle it. The black pillars are just freaking out. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And then everybody else is caught in between. What follows next? I got a good article on that. You sank my battleship. Ooh. And ground game is on. It's on. And the Texas punch up, the two-step, the punch up. All right. At this political game that is happening, that's taking place. This Cornyn fight with Paxson. Everybody's pulling their hair out. Trump's going to make a decision on who he's going to support. People like, he's going to support Cornyn. And if he supports Cornyn, it's because of the SAVE Act. And then people are freaking. Oh, my God. Any little thing with fifth grade attention, people can't control themselves. Welcome to my co-host, Marshall Smith. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. It's not that complicated what's going on. And, we talked about it the other night. I mentioned it. I'll get more into it because I've, naturally been studying different areas and looking at it. And I want to mention one thing. I'd like to wish your wife, Veronica, happy birthday because I hear that you're celebrating that this weekend.
Oh, yeah. We're going to be out of town. Go to my old stomping grounds. We're going to
That'll
go.
be fun.
That'll be fun. Thank you so much. Yeah, what's up, Rizone 9300 over here on YouTube? Yes, we are on YouTube. We are live. You can share and subscribe over there. If you want to help out the platform, you can go to buymecoffee.com/wearerise. What's going on, Pilled? Hello, Rumble. What's up, True Terran? Greetings and salutations to you. What was over here tonight? Sausage Launcher, what's up? Thea, thank you. Gifting the phone. Wood USA, welcome in. Thank you for the 217 gold pills. Patty B, how you doing? What's up, Trusty Turnup? Who else is here? Yeah, everybody's walking. There's a lot of new names that signed up on Pill Day Notice. I guess I met a bunch of people. I did Thomas's show yesterday, and a lot of people were reaching out and stuff. So I guess they like the commentary that we did yesterday. So you can go back and watch it. A lot of interesting things. Some of my takes that we did here, and some of the things that I was going and moving around about how I feel about the Black Pillars, about the movement in general, where things are ending up. So I want to start out with tonight. About the ground game. Let's get into that first. We're going to jump around a little bit. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop us gold pill, comments, questions, concerns. If you want to help out the platform, you can do so in any way, shape, or form. You can help out marshallkofi.com/surfdog74. So we're going to get into this tonight. This is the breaking news that's happening, I guess. Oh, did they just kick that off? Yes, they did. Wow. Yep, it's gone. Well, there's nothing I could do. They had breaking news there, and I guess I'll go out and find it. Anyway, we found that the Kurdish forces are basically are now mobilizing. The CIA was on the ground mobilizing. We were there for a while, and we were, I guess, passing out weapons. We were collectively starting a ground game, a surge into Iran. I also think that in some way, like we were saying the other day, that the possibility of there already being clandestine forces there is not so surprising now as we find out. I mean, it's not shocking that that these types of things are happening right now. So when you think about Kurdish forces involved on the ground game, I mean, maybe I'll go look for that. But I guess I had that up, and it was from Will Kane on Fox News, and I guess it was taken off. I don't know why. But I've seen it everywhere that it's happening. It's taking place. So let's get into tonight's show about Iran was in some way, I think, triggered. We're going to get into Scott Bessent because he's talking about the banks. He's talking about the British-controlled central banks and what is actually, I think, the real reason that is behind everything regarding this war that a lot of people are pulling their hair out. They can't get their head wrapped around the idea that we're there. So Trump is waging economic war on British-controlled central banks. It's happening behind the missiles. Let's continue on here. This isn't just a war. It's a systematic economic collapse. Listen carefully to what Basent says, and I'll play that. I have a clip of him on CNBC. President Trump is going after central banks, all controlled through British economic stronghold. This isn't a new idea. It's the first time someone with access has said it out loud. The battlefield isn't just in the Middle East. It's in the vaults, it's in the currency systems, and inside the central bank control architecture built and maintained by the British financial power. Trump's order, Treasury unleashes full economic firepower. President Trump gave the order for the Treasury to exert maximum pressure campaign on Iran. It started quickly, no explosions, just instructions. It directed the U.S. Treasury to apply maximum economic pressure on Iran, not to punish, but cripple. Iran cut off from the U.S. dollar, global sanctions on Iranian oil, international funds blocked and frozen. We cut off the dollar supply in Iran and all of their oil sanctioned. We've been able to cut off their funds out of Iran, starve the regime of cash before a single missile flies. Interesting. Iran's economy collapsed before the strikes begin. I think this is something that is not widely known. A lot of people aren't discussing this, but there is something to it. So this was not a coincidence. It was coordinated. One of the largest banks collapsed in December. The central bank was forced to print a huge amount of money. Inflation ensued. People took to the streets. What happened? The currency was devalued. The central bank panicked. Hyperinflation exploded. Protests erupted as basic economic survival vanished. This was an economic crash in Iran in December, and now we have the opening to go in. Let that sink in. Military strikes came after the financial collapse. The economy was already broken. The military just came to finish the job. The war wasn't launched. It was triggered. We have now a softening of the economy and preparing the ground for what our great warriors are doing right now. So they're going to move in the Kurds in there. We're going to have probably some type of clandestine JSOC forces in there. A lot of special ops that are going to probably be rolling through, utilizing the Kurds to fight off the IRGC and all the commanders. The Trump's team did not guess. They knew exactly when to strike. The economic collapse was a signal. Once the regime was weak enough, the missiles followed. The next generation warfare looks like cut the money, crash the economy, collapse the central bank, then send in the jets. The target, British-controlled central bank. Central banks are all controlled through British economic stronghold. The London Financial Bank, when you really think about that, Lloyd's of London, that's being discussed quite a bit. This isn't about Iran. It's about shattering the systems used by the global elite to maintain control. Its economic war isn't just punitive, it's surgical. It's designed to unravel institutions behind decades of manipulation. And the central banks, they're the control room. And I think in some way, when you explain this, when I play the Scott Basent clip, we'll get a better understanding what his perspective is moving forward. The final strike behind the missiles, the real war underway. Basent pulled back the curtain while cameras follow the fighter jets and explosions. More devastating offensive play. The collapse of the financial sovereignty for regimes built on corrupt foreign banking monetary systems. You know, we got to keep attention to, while this war is a great distraction in a lot of ways, because that's all everybody sees and wants to talk about and what's going on, you have to consider what is also happening simultaneously behind the scenes with the banking system in general, with these types of foreign banks, these, let's just say, non-sovereign banks, as I call them. You know, when you really think about it,
the real story.
It is. And I think that if this war ends and a lot of the Fed just disappears overnight, a lot of them just disappear overnight, I think that will show you something else that we haven't seen yet. And no one really is talking about. I haven't really seen too many people pursue this or follow with this thought process. The collapse of the financial sovereignty for regimes built on corrupt foreign banking monetary systems. And when the smoke clears, it won't be Iran's military ruins. It will be the economic foundation designed, built, and sustained by a global central bank network now under siege. Bottom line, Trump is not fighting a war with bombs. He's waging full spectrum economic warfare, targeting the arteries of power, money, banks, and control. That means cutting off the rat lines with the oil. The Navy ships are guiding in the tankers through the Strait of Hormuz to protect them. All of this really is to what? Squeeze everybody in this level, because that's what it is. The cut off all the financial supplies in every way they can. Here's Scott Bessent. I got a couple of articles on him, but let's just play this a little bit.
President Trump gave the order for Treasury to exert a maximum pressure campaign on Iran. I said at a speech at the Economic Club of New York in March that I predicted that the Iranian currency would collapse, that we would see the economy collapse thanks to this maximum pressure. So we have been softening up the economy and preparing the ground for what our great warriors are doing right now. So the Iranian economy was vulnerable. We cut off the dollar supply into Iran. All of their oil is sanctioned. We've been able to keep the funds, many of the funds out of Iran. One of the largest banks collapsed in December. The central bank was forced to print a huge amount of money. Inflation ensued, and people took to the streets. So there was an economic crash in Iran.
When is the last time you heard a central bank collapsing? Seriously.
It's huge.
In a foreign country, you've never heard that. If they did, you would never hear about it. The idea that this is being overshadowed and downplayed, I know I saw you, Trump, one regarding the Promethean action and stuff. Yeah, I understand. They go into much more detailed account and stuff. But look, sometimes the simplest explanation to these things for people to really process and not going into the weeds is the best way, because they can't even process what's taking place with this Iran war. And to give this as a soft underbelly of an explanation, I think it's easy and digestible for what we're talking about at the moment. Let me continue.
Iran in December, and now we have the opening to go in, and our military is taking over from the sky and from the sea.
Okay, Marshall. I mean, what's your thoughts? I mean, I thought that was an excellent overview, and I think really simplest explanation. It wasn't that hard for people to process that. You could see where this is going. But to hear that the federal banking institution just goes down, one of these central banks go down, it's just shocking. It's shocking in a lot of ways. And this is what we wanted. This is what we're hoping for. We're hoping for here in the United States. But to see this all collapse shows you the uncertainty. I think the London bank has their financial central bank over there. A lot of uncertainty running all over. Your thoughts?
This is why Trump is pissed off at the UK and vice versa. And he mentioned that today. They're pissed off because he's doing this. Right. And they're losing control. Their British Empire and their banking is losing control. I think for the most part, when Israel was created back in 1917, they were created by the British Kingdom or the Rothschilds in the British Kingdom. Well, I think Israel, they don't have
Bank of London. I mean, that's basically
they don't have
that funded it.
They don't have control of Israel anymore, because if they did, Israel wouldn't be flying jets with us. They wouldn't be up there. No. So this whole thing is falling apart for the British Empire. That's the main. A lot of people, they focus, Brett, on Israel. Israel has been a proxy for the British Kingdom all this time, and now this is all separated now. Yeah, and it's not complicated to figure that these central banks, they're going. And then when you look at the insurance, which I'm sure we'll get into, it's becoming very clear.
Yeah, you got to think about the insurance. They're not the Lloyd's of London is not insuring any of these tankers anymore as they pass through with the threat of Iran going to supposedly bomb the shit out of these tankers. That's why Navy ships are escorting them out. And there's just too much. There's just too much weight on them that's holding them back that I don't think they can cover it. So they decided not to cover any of these insurance claims that may take place by the hands of Iran going forward, passing through the Strait of Hormuz. And I think in a lot of ways, this is the whole point of the war, the economic downturn of a collapse. And also, I think in some way, most people don't realize this is what happens when a central bank has control. Okay? A foreign entity has control of its monetary system inside a sovereign nation. When you think about that, and I wouldn't even call Iran a sovereign nation. I think they've been captured by multi-level groups let's just say, an atheistic or some type of apocalyptic, theocratic, Muslim group backed by
Deep state.
foreign deep state actors,
Yeah.
London, and also you got to consider that they're in the same position as Israel was in, as we're all in some way, with the central bank there looming over and having control. And I think that what President Trump is saying and what Scott Bessent is suggesting is that they cut off the funding. If you stop the funding, now they don't have any oil to trade. There's not going to be any currency swaps in some way. And the other part that most people don't also consider is that it wasn't just Obama giving pallets of cash to them. It was Joe Biden and Kamala Harris gave $16 billion. They opened up the source funding that was seized assets, and they allowed that pipeline money to go through. And so here we are right now at this last dying gasp of breath for this country that is basically operating on fumes. I don't know if people have any food, water, shelter. I don't know what's going on per se. And the idea that they're not doing anything so different as the Palestinians were doing about hiding the munitions and the artillery and all these other situations just like them in the Gaza Strip to be bombed to death. And then there you go. We're back in the same situation as especially what happened with this girls' school that we're saying, we didn't intentionally bomb it, whether it's collateral damage or not. We don't know. I think there's a lot of hubbub there in some way. And if we did, so what? So what? I mean, it's war, right? I mean, it is what it is. We didn't make them shelter in place at a girls' school. If they did that on their own. It's sad, but that's how less they think about their own people. And so if they think less about their own people, what do they think in general? They don't care. They don't care what happens, and they'll do everything they can to expel as much power onto. And I think they're going to go out in a blaze of glory. I think their plan is to go out in a blaze of glory, and we'll see very soon. So Treasury Secretary Bessent says U.S. will make a series of announcements to support oil trade in the Gulf. Bessent sought to calm concerns about the potential energy shock. You understand the sweet crude that is trading now with $70, $75, almost $80 a barrel, and it's going up. And it does affect, at a minimum level, does affect gas at the pump. It does affect that about 43%. It varies in different states. And how this nominal speculation, the fear surrounding the war, all of this plays into pricing at home. So, yes, consider that and understand that this is why they're going to take control. He said the government is prepared to step in as a geopolitical tensions threaten one of the world's critical energy corridors. And I think in some way, I'm not going to play this, but he is saying, because they want to stabilize this, they want to make sure that the oil shipments continue flowing and stuff, that we don't reach $120 a barrel. And if it gets to that point, you're going to have $4 and $5 gas. And that's really, in an election year, you can't have that. And I think in some way, normalizing, stabilizing, as it's saying here right now, Persian Gulf, signaling the government is prepared to step in. All right. We have a series of announcements that we're going to be making, Bessent said on CNBC's Squawk Box. We begin yesterday with the announcement that DFC will provide insurance for both crude carriers and cargo ships operating around the Gulf over the weekend. His comments came as markets remain on edge following escalating conflicts involving Iran, which heightened fears of disruptions to oil flows through the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow waterway that handles roughly a fifth of the global crude shipment. President Trump said Tuesday the U.S. provide insurance to the tankers because Lloyd's of London had basically decided they're not going to insure these tankers anymore. And so by us doing so, that we will take full responsibility to make sure that the price does not accelerate because of speculation, and that these tankers will be able to reach their port of destination. That's the key of understanding. So helping oil prices retreat from an intraday highs and stocks rebound from session lows, Trump said the U.S. Development Finance Corporation will provide a very reasonable price, political risk insurance, and guarantees for financial security of all maritime trade. So we've taken over this maritime operation in such a way that the U.S. Navy is going to be, let's just put it this way, is going to be utilized to toe the line to ensure the protection that these cargo ships arrive at their destination. U.S. government is going to step in when it's appropriate, and it should be needed, as the U.S. Navy will provide safe passage through the straits for their oil takers. The Sank said U.S. crude prices have jumped 11% this week, so you're going to see about 10 to 30 cents, maybe 40-cent jump in your local areas. It hasn't really changed much where I'm at these days, but when you think about it, certain areas will be, higher, normal. Some will stay nominal. It depends on your location, really, and the taxes and the tax structure your state imposes or your county has. That's really what it comes down to. Bringing its 2026 gains to 30% on fears of widening the war in the Middle East would result in a prolonged disruption of regional oil and gas supplies. Wall Street commodities strategists have warned that oil prices could surge above $100 a barrel. And if the strait is closed for an extended period, the Senate sought to calm these concerns. That's the key. He's out in front and making sure that we're protecting the market from, let's just say, overindulging of speculation. All right. And that's the key. This was well telegraphed geopolitical event. The crude market had already moved substantially over the past 2 months. The crude markets are very well supplied, he said. The Treasury chief said the officials remain in contact with energy-producing nations through International Energy Agency and pointed to a large strategic petroleum reserve globally. He added that the U.S. is in far more stronger position than during the early stages of the war in Ukraine, citing record domestic oil and natural gas production and the country's growing role as a major exporter of crude and liquefied natural gas. How about that? How about that? Nothing is talked about like that in so many ways, Marshall. We don't get credit for that. President Trump doesn't get credit for really, recreating an opportunity of being a great exporter of LNG and crude oil. It's amazing. As we take some of the oil from Venezuela, which is not so pure in so many ways, that we have to refine back home, and there's only a certain amount of equipment that can be done in this way. And that's why he had put a task force together to go into Venezuela to make sure they can, let's just say, upgrade all that's been, let's just say, left to be destroyed in Venezuela regarding the processing of the crude oil.
Yeah, and Trump was smart. He was prepared for this. He knew that ahead of time that Lloyd's of London and others from the British Empire were going to pull their insurance on our Navy ships to kind of prevent them from being able to escort these oil ships and all these other transport through that Hormuz. And he was ready for it with the U.S. Development Finance Corp to give the coverage. So they're stuck. They can't do anything about it now.
Yeah.
So they're fully covered, and we're going to keep right on moving. Yeah, my gas went up about 20 cents, but I expected that.
Yeah,
and everybody should expect that it's going to go down once this thing starts to smooth out. So
right, and I saw people on X, trying to break down the oil and stuff, and realistically, yes, crude oil does impact gas prices at home. It's part of it. It's about 43 to about 47% affect. Okay, it does. Especially when you're dealing with situations, but that it's really about the speculators and how they project at the current time and at the future time, and then those speculations go into account about how many barrels have been interrupted in some way, if any, how many ships have not made its destination to these ports, how many were damaged in some way, and oil spills all over the place. I mean, God forbid that happens. That's ecological disasters everywhere. So yes, having the Navy protect them and move through the straits, so it really doesn't decrease the amount that's in there. It's just really about the oil that's going to come out from Iran that's going to slow, and that's going to affect China greatly. Probably about 20% of their oil is received from them. So you'll see that. So that's why the imbalance and disruption, which will be short term, it's not a long term affect, so I wouldn't worry about it. That oil makes a lot of ship oil, though. Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, it does. Trump and Secretary of War took out Iran with old money. Never showed our good shit. Showed we got the shit to China and Russia. They're all real quick. Yeah. I mean, yeah, from 280 now to 320. Yeah. a gallon now. Hopefully, everyone gassed up. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you had to jump there where you're at. And you're in Ohio, I think. Trump won. So yeah, I mean, I was at the pump the other day, just down the road. I mean, normal gas by me where it is at that Wawa where it is, it's like 330, 340 for the 93. You know what I'm saying? The 91's a little bit cheaper, what have you. But I mean, yeah, it jumped 25, 30 cents. So it's like 370, 380. So yeah, I mean, I see it. I understand. And everybody's, again, freaking out about it, making a big deal about it. I mean, how did you not know that there was going to be an interruption? Anytime that there's a Middle East war, these types of things happen. The stabilization will drop off, I think. Give it a couple of weeks. You know what I'm saying? People's attention span will change because they're still waiting. Is the war going to end on time in 4 to 5 weeks, as President Trump said? What if it doesn't? Are you going to freak out? All right. Are you going to throw a tantrum like a 5-year-old? Are you going to throw your milk and your cookies against the wall? I mean,
like Julian's rum.
Like, yeah. I mean, honestly,
I couldn't believe it, man. That guy.
Yeah.
Julian's
he's like,
rum,
I'm done. Everybody's done. Everybody is done. They want to walk away. They want to cry.
Shows everybody said the masks were going to come off.
Yeah, and I got it. And I understand why they call people out. And I totally get it. I understand. I'm not sitting there like, blah, 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 this and that. I don't care. I also, again, I will say that the blind loyalty crowd, they have a problem too. Because remember, back at the time, Trump is like, yeah, take the vaxxes. It wasn't warp speed. That didn't save anything. We'd be in a total lockdown. Remember that was done? How many of you took the vaxxes because of what he said? See my point about blind loyalty? All right. Be careful on how it's being utilized and utilized for what and for whom. All right. Here we go. Hegseth lashes out at the media because Americans killed our front page news. Absolutely. Why would anybody think that them not putting this out front was to what? We have 6 soldiers dead. I mean, it's a shame. It's sad, but this is war. This is what they signed up for. This is the, let's just say, byproduct of being in the military, that your chances increase greatly if there's a wartime action, that your death would happen. No one wants it. No one can. You could do everything you can to prevent it, but this is what it is. I mean, honestly, why does anybody want to sign up to the military knowing full well, that their lives could be cut short a lot sooner and quicker? I mean, it's a given. Here we are.
This is not a mission accomplished situation. This is simply a reality check. The combination of U.S. and Israeli intelligence and combat power will control Iran, and will control it soon. Sure, Iran will still be able to shoot some missiles and still be able to launch one-way attack drones at civilian targets, and their proxies will attempt to attack our embassies, bases, and soft targets. They are terrorists, after all, and they need to target civilians because they can't fight toe-to-toe. But we will find them, and we will kill them. This is what the fake news misses. We've taken control of Iran's airspace and waterways without boots on the ground. We control their fate. But when a few drones get through or tragic things happen, it's front page news. I get it. The press only wants to make the president look bad, but try for once to report the reality. The terms of this war will be set by us at every step. As I said Monday, the mission is laser focused. Obliterate Iran's missiles and drones and facilities that produce them, annihilate its navy and critical security infrastructure, and sever their pathway to nuclear weapons. Iran will never possess a nuclear bomb, not on our watch, not ever. And this is why President Trump's moral clarity on Iran today is so vital. This is not...
Okay. So, I mean, I don't know if anybody saw that this morning, your thoughts about this. I mean, look, I mean, the theater is real. The production is playing out. The war is deadly. People get killed. I mean, it's just that simple. And I think that he's pressing upon the media to do their best to make sure that you cover it in real time and not just utilize this and prop these people up because you don't really care about the deaths of these people. You want to use it to antagonize the base. You want to make sure in some way you dangle this out there to make more people angry and frustrated. You want to gin this up for more hatred against Israel that supposedly that everybody says that got us into this war, which President Trump obviously clarified. It did not happen. It wasn't because of this, as Marco Rubio had stated. And I think a lot of people are starting to realize that there was a plan in place to destabilize this region as the central bank in Iran crashed. And when that did, we took the opportunity to move in thereafter because they were at the most vulnerable. Your thoughts, Marshall?
Yeah, and Trump, they had this already planned a long time ago. It was already, they knew it was going to come. It's just a matter of when it started to happen. And the fact that there's only 6 people, troops that have been killed, is really incredible when we're about a week into this thing.
Yep.
Close to it. And it's like, dude, there could be hundreds, and there's not. So I think it's pretty amazing that, and I'm not belittling their death, but thank God it's not more than 6. So there you go.
Well, yes, the ground war hasn't commenced. I mean, what's that going to look like? I wanted to show you that, but apparently, what's that look like? We know that we're recruiting Kurdish forces from the northwest region of Iraq. They're going to move in and fight them. You have probably other potential people there mixed with probably covert special op teams. I wouldn't be surprised. You're not going to see a contingent of 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. We can't afford that. We can't put that on the ground. They don't want to show that. So I think covertly we're going to be in there. And that's as much as you're going to hear about it, if anything. And whether it's a seek and destroy or to prop up and help facilitate the next regime or regime that they recognize with the groundswell of support, that's probably both. That's most likely what we're seeing right now. So the strikes kill head of Iranian unit that plotted to assassinate President Trump. Now, there's a lot of pushback on X about this. A lot of the shield contingent, the Black Pillars, use this as a stalking horse, so to speak, to present and label this as another failed lie upon another lie. First it was this, then it was that, and they're saying no one believes that this kid that was arrested, that they caught, this is what's being pushed out there, plotted to assassinate Trump from the Iranian IRGC or an Iranian unit. So Hegseth puts this out, a whole fight about this. The leader of Iranian unit that sought to assassinate Trump was hunted down and killed. Okay. The plot to target then candidate Trump has seemingly fueled the ire toward Tehran, with him recently telling ABC News that the U.S. got the Iranian Supreme Leader Khomeini. Driving News, Hegwood said that the killing the leader was not the focus of the effort by any stretch of the imagination. But if we had the opportunity to get at those who are trying to get Americans specifically, we would. The opportunity arose from the air. Iran tried to kill President Trump, and Trump got the last laugh. Now, a lot of people are suggesting in some way that that this whole thing was made up. All right. There is no proof to suggest one way or another that this guy or whatever it is, this Iranian unit, did have an opportunity to kill President Trump. We don't know that. We haven't seen the information. It hasn't been disclosed yet. All right. And there are many people on the other side are suggesting that this has all been fabricated and put up as just another suggestion to attack Iran. Okay. Catch up quick. I mean, it doesn't really matter at this point whether this is true or not. Okay. I don't really care. I don't really care at this point. Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth the other day laid it all out nice and neat. I mean, look, this thing's not going to be wrapped up on a bow and on this date, we're going to end the war specifically. It doesn't work like that. All right. When the surrender happens, we'll know. But the operation is not going to end until they destabilize what they need to or shut down what they need to. The Justice Department, alleged man in 2024, was tasked with carrying out an Iranian plot to kill Trump. Neither of the 2 other attempts targeting Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania, and at his Florida golf course were linked to Iran. Well, probably not. You can't go back and let's just say redo that because we don't know what happened to the Butler shooter. We have no idea about anything. And as for this Florida golf course guy that's up for, he's trying to appeal that he got a life sentence. No one knows too much about him other than that he was somewhere there ostentatiously in fighting for Ukraine. I mean, it's just a weird thing that is taking place. But Alex Instat previously reported that Iran's threat to Trump led to an extraordinary precautions by his team, including a decoy plane. I mean, that's how serious it got. I mean, we don't know. They're not telling us. They're not showing us. We're not seeing this information. So we're going based on what Hegs had said in regards to this. He's letting us in. Axios is covering this. Also, unsealed charges in connection with an alleged plot to assassinate John Bolton, Trump's former national security advisor and driving force behind the maximum pressure campaign on Iran. New weapons and war power emerges in Iran, and which I'll get to in the next conflict on that. Look, I don't know if we can ascertain if there's amount of truth that is being put out here, or I mean, is it skeptical at this moment to suggest that we have any foreknowledge to say that he's lying? I mean, I don't know what people expect. He's putting out this information, and however you want to read that and take this, you can just put this over here and say, all right, another example of why we're there in some way. That's what it's sounding. But the idea that the threat was serious and it had to be done in such a way tells us that there's something else that's going on. And that's why the destabilizing of the central bank there was germane to this operation, because they wanted to get in there as soon as possible to shut it down. I don't think this really had anything to do with Israel at this moment. I think the fear was, in some way, if we let this go, all right, and we allowed Iran to continue on with this protracted amount of terrorism, I think then we would be stuck in a position or forced into a position where Israel would hit them and tactically nuke them. And we couldn't allow that to take place in any manner. So we had to take the lead. And if we didn't take the lead in this some way, we had to make sure that softening the blow from the fallout would be so light that everything else, because look what's going on in Iran in general. The people are supporting the president, Israel. You see member states all over that signed the Abraham Accords. You see Bahrain, Jordan. You see all these countries that were attacked. You see NATO shot down a missile that was headed for Ukraine. You see so many countries now joined at a vested interest in making sure this regime would crumble. I don't know. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, and Turkey was starting to get pissed off at us until they got hit by Iran. So that took care of that right there. So now
Right.
they're not a problem, and they're part of NATO anyway, or whatever, if you want to call that a thing. But hey, this whole thing about Trump being possibly hit by an assassin, true, maybe not true.
Yeah.
But if anything,
Is
at
it a
least,
stretch? Is it
yeah,
a stretch? I mean, a lot of is it a stretch because we don't have any proof or do we just blindly believe what he's saying? I mean, this is what I'm talking about, blind loyalty.
I think it's for the simple people that just,
yeah,
something easy to figure out. You start talking central banks and this and that and the other, and people get, they wander off, mentally.
Right. I mean, I don't know what anybody thinks. Obama, Clinton, forehead, Sullivan, Biden should be in prison cell. They helped Iran get where they are. Yeah, they funneled all this money. They funneled all this money to Iran, no doubt about it. They helped ensure in some way. I was covering that yesterday. They ensured their ability to make sure to buy weaponry, to create weaponry. On so many different levels, they were set up, propped up, while they were using this drone narrative warfare as being told to us as a front, while behind the scenes they were slowly but surely building this type of arsenal of nuclear weapons in some way. And yeah, I think the position is fair enough to suggest that, we didn't want to be left holding our hand in our hat. And Trump realized that whether he does another term or not, if he can or not, it doesn't matter. He wanted to make sure that they get them now while he's here and not leave it in the hands of somebody else. He wanted to make sure it's on his watch. He said it. He wanted to do it. He wanted to make sure it would be done by him and him alone. And I think that's what he wanted. I think that if this is a success, no one will think twice about this. You might as well just, I mean, the Democrats' narrative was done. I mean, 2026, man, is looking really good when you really think about how this is going to play into the theater come summertime. And anybody that tells you on X not to vote, you know what? Shame on them. They can get bent and fuck right off. I mean, that's just terrible how people are speaking today, because they've decided they no longer want to invest. They want to divest themselves. They want to move out of these positions of anything because they want to bring you down with them, selling their narrative on a shortfall, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work anymore. And again, I will go back to the idea, the thought, whether or not Hegseth is telling the truth or not, Marshall, I don't really care regarding this whole thing with this Iranian plot or unit. Until they provide more information, I will be skeptical, to say the least.
And don't
go ahead.
Don't listen to the people that are saying, "How is this America first?" Well, if they knew the whole big picture, they would understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes it very obvious that these people are not. They either know it and don't want to know it, or they just don't know it all, and they haven't taken the time to figure it out.
Yeah. No, I know. So here's the polls that suggest public opinion improving over the Iran operation. So public opinion about President Trump's military operation in Iran could be improving, with a new poll showing 56% of likely voters support the targeting of Iran leadership. Trump has made many pitches to the American public about his objectives and Operation Epic Fury, taking more than 20 reporter phone calls, deploying cabinet officials to explain the war's rationale, and holding 2 White House press calls explaining why the war is necessary. On March 3rd, on-message polls showed 56% likely voters support the targeting of Iran, 63% of likely voters support the targeting of Iranian nuclear and ballistic missile capacity. In both cases, more than 90% of Republicans are aligned in Trump's actions. About 45% are likely voters approve of Trump's approval, according to On Message, a similar level as in other polls. However, 53% agree with the statement. Even if I don't agree with President Trump on the other issues, I think he's right to help free citizens from oppressive governments like Iran's and Venezuela that take away rights from their own people. Now, with that in mind, is this the objective? Is this the objective? I don't think this is necessarily the prima facie objective, but I think ultimately the byproduct of what we're doing in some way rationalizes with the thought process here that, yes, it helps stabilize the people and able to take back their country in some way. I don't know what's going on in Venezuela. I mean, the vice president is still there that was installed. I mean, I don't know how this is helping the people of Venezuela per se. We don't know. I mean, unless there is money going to the Venezuelan opposition and to the people in general, we have, again, limited information. You know how that just disappeared. So you don't hear anything about that. March 3rd, Fox News poll also showed improvement in public opinion. 50% of voters approving the operation, 50 disapproving. Okay. According to the Fox poll, 84% of Republicans supported it. And Reuters Ipsos poll published on Sunday said only 27% of Americans approved the U.S. Israeli bombing of Iran. Okay, move on. I got a CBS poll that I was trying to suggest of why the short-term memory of a lot of different people, I think, in some way, how they're reading the room wrong about this. All right, because they're all on this timescape. They're thinking that, look, we have a window here, and if this window is not completed in this way, this poll really just sets up the narrative. Approve, disapprove of military action. Days, weeks, 76 to 24, up 52. Months, 46 to 54, down 8. Years, 13 to 87, down 74. And that comes from YouGov. So there's 76 approved, 24% approved. Months, the numbers change. Years. Now, the Senate just shot down the resolution, the War Powers Act resolution, 53-47. They were voting on that. So that's not going to move forward in some way. But the question is, how long do you think, in some way, Marshall, based upon these pollings and stuff, because we know that President Trump does read these polls, he does think about the long, let's just say, protractedness of this operation. The longer it is, the more time people will have to start to nestle in with everything, unless the fallout is so good from this that, that we're there and there's a new regime being put in place. The surrender happened. The areas are been cleaned out. So what do you think? Do you think the polls are reflexive of what the actual people are thinking in the right context? Or is it just an abstract or broad stroke of just saying we're on a timetable and this timetable is not done at a certain time? You know, you'll be acting out like fifth graders, throwing your food against the wall because you didn't get what you want and your attention span is, dropping.
The people that have a timeline in their mind they're not listening. They're not. I
Mhm.
mean, Hedge just said it today. And even Trump said it. It's going to take as long as it takes. Is it going to take years? I doubt that.
No.
So it's not going to be no Vietnam or whatever the hell. It's not going to be any of that. I
Right.
doubt it takes more than months. I
Mhm.
think this will be as far ahead as we are right now, less than a week, and we're flying over top of them willy nilly. I mean, we could fly paragliders over there and they wouldn't get shot down. So
I wouldn't be surprised come Monday they surrender.
Yeah,
that's
it's
my
gonna
guess.
be over pretty quick, I think. Yeah.
I think so, because as President Trump says, they have a new leader that they're trying to put in place. We're going to cover that. And he's like, yeah, good luck with that. I mean, the plan is to take out anybody who steps up to the podium that they will not accept. And if it's part of this theocratic, autocratic, whatever, apocalyptic, suicidal cabal of clerics or whatever it is, doesn't matter. You're done. And again, we don't even know who these clerics are, what they represent. It's a very shadowy rogue group of people that operate from some cult-like existence that has captured Iran. And it's just like, it's kind of odd in some way. We have a very simple-minded view about how we see the representation of this regime. We understand how the people are and what they feel and what they want. These Persians are not like Iraqis. These Persians are not like, let's just say, other countries that are Muslim-based, all right? And when you think about it, they're being ruled by, let's just say, these radioactive Muslims, as I call them, these people that are hell-bent on getting something to bring about the end of the world, so to speak. And it's just crazy that we never really focus on who these people are, who they're being propped up and backed by. But now I think we have an idea. Albus, thank you for the cookie. Great show. Thanks. Curious Cat gifted the cookie. Thank you. Good evening. Trump One, what's up? Thank you for the can. Thea with the phone. Thank you all for supporting the platform. Let's continue on. I have this from
I
MJ.
would be careful also, Brett.
Yeah.
About these people on TV that are saying, "Oh, the next one could be worse than the one we just got rid of."
Right. Yeah.
Be careful about that shit.
Well, the best way we could describe that the next man up is that they're going to be the next one in the ground. All right. So if these people are taken out in so many ways, then you know they weren't the right people. We'll know when it's the right time for the right person or people to step up in some way. And whether it's the Shah's son, I doubt it. I mean, President Trump doesn't sound too keen about that. I think they already have a plan in place with a group of people ready to go. Whether or not that was picked by our government or not, as an interim stabilizing regime, I wouldn't even call it a regime, something that will help normalize a lot of things to get the government operational again, to make sure things are flowing, that people will have food, water, electricity. I think that's what they to focus on, and that will be around there as insulation, maybe a little protection in some ways. Maybe the other countries in the region will want to participate and celebrate a new regime. I think it's possible. I think that once the fighting, the missiles stop flying out, we control the airspace. Everything thereafter will just be about what's going to take place on the ground and through the reorganization or the government redecoration of this parliament. I mean, that's what's going to happen. So at this point, we're all just spectators. According to the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, MRFF, they're all receiving hundreds of complaints. And I saw this on not just The Guardian and on The Mirror. I saw this in People's Voice. Complaints from service members across all branches of armed forces, including the Marines, Air Force, Space Force. They're being told Iran is part of God's plan, and Trump was anointed by God to bring about Armageddon and the imminent return of Jesus Christ. How much do you believe this is propaganda? And do you believe this is true? Feels like propaganda to me. U.S. troops were told Iran war anointed by Jesus to bring Armageddon, Watchdog says. Tell our troops. Guardian says that a commander is urged to tell our troops that it was all part of God's divine plan, and specifically referenced numerous citations out of the book of Revelations referring to Armageddon and the imminent return of Jesus Christ. He said that the President Trump has been anointed by Jesus to light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon and mark his return to earth. Wow. What's your thoughts about this? Obviously, it's clear propaganda. There may be people at commanders that are doing this for the agitprop to continue on. And now it's got out that they're being told this, and how the Guardian picked this up, how the Mirror picked this up. Someone is speaking and telling them, whistling the noise about this in some way. Obviously this is, I mean, whether you want to take it as fodder or not, or some people actually believe this. I mean, what say you? I mean,
I'd like to know who this MRFF, Military Religious Freedom Front, or whatever they're called.
Yeah, foundation.
I'd like to know where they get their money from and who's connected to them. That's when you find the truth.
Yeah.
You see groups like this, and I bet it's like some transgender. They probably associate with that kind of. You got some of these people in the military. They can't help themselves. They just go in there just for the money, and they think that's it. I can get free college, and they're not there for any other. Whereas the majority of them, they're there to do the damn military job. They're
right.
They're there for that. So no, I agree with you 100%. It's total bullshit.
Yeah, is it dirt slop? I mean, is it total dirt slop? I mean, is that what we're saying, that it's not? This is people are just making this up and utilizing this to propagandize the war in some way, and saying this is a holy war, a war on a new Christian war on what? I mean, Christian war on what? Persians aren't Muslims. I mean, yeah, are we hating Muslims? Yeah, the Muslims that control Iran or did control Persia. Yeah, it makes sense. I saw what you said, Super D. Donate 656 gold pills. What I got, Crockett, go to Popeyes. You might see Al Green. I got some stuff on that. That's funny. That's Senior Polo, this is it. Gifted the shades. Where did all the Muslim leaders come from that took over Iran? That's an excellent point. And I was suggesting, I said that, thank you, Theo, for the 500 gold pills. I was suggesting that I don't think we have any information regarding, and maybe in the interim, we'll find out where were all these people placed from? Where did they all come out of from? And it's a good point. It's a good discussion. We have little to no idea about where these people, these clerics came from what regions, what countries, and then, they just came out of nowhere and they just automatically were installed and put in there in some way. And they just, they replicated like gremlins. It's kind of odd in some way. We have little to no idea who these people are. We don't. I can't find anything about any of this stuff. But hopefully, maybe we'll get some information about who these people really are. I think I would like
the UK is behind the whole.
Yeah.
They're the main.
You can make a good argument, a good stretch that a lot of these people are former British intelligence agents, Rothschild,
could be MI6, whatever.
Yeah, it could be MI6 people, former Rothschild people that dress up in this that went to British schools, left them, converted, and they're over here now, and they're operating in this form. Yeah, that in the CIA. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So that's a good point. In some way, that these people are pretending to be something that they're not, and utilizing this in some way as
that's viable.
Yeah, and I think they're portraying themselves as the oppressor and using Islam or as an architect to wield the theocratical, apocalyptic, suicidal regime. Yeah, Iran refugee in Los Angeles. Islam is the biggest threat to our country, and that could face. It's time to permanently ban Islamic immigration in America. Islam is not compatible with Western civilization. We have a huge problem in this country. In retrospect, what's going on in Michigan, what's going on in Texas. We have some problems here in Florida. It's spreading. It's growing. And the question is, how far will this fuse be lit and just this bomb explode? I mean, literally, figuratively speaking, about how we're going to deal with, I think, the fallout with all the sleeper cells and everything. And how many of them are going to be tied to Islam, terrorism, what's going on with the war in Iran, the anti-Israeli crowd. I mean, all the stuff in general that people want to sacrifice and blow people up and kill. How much more is this going to come out? Listen to this.
And some fake news I don't
No.
It's like Christmas. We are so happy here. It's 47 years. All the Iranian, we never been, in the history, we never been Muslim. We are not, and we won't be. And it's the biggest threat every country can face to it. And I want to say we are so happy. We are kicking out the mullahs, and we will take back our monarchy and our dignity. CNN and some fake news I don't
No.
It's kind of amazing when you see this in general. It's a very positive thing to see. It's nice for a change, Marshall, to see people protesting positively about what's taking place regarding this war, and just how people feel about the administration, about America, and what we're doing and stuff. I wish we get to see more of this over and over again, and you could tell and you could see the separation that Iranian Americans, they want an opportunity to go back to their homeland. I really do believe that. It's the same argument I've been saying about Cuban Americans.
Yeah.
A lot of them do want to go home.
Too.
Yeah, Venezuelans, they want to go home too. They want to go home to a free Venezuela, just like Cuban Americans. And I believe the time is now. I think people will have an opportunity to go back very soon to their motherland, to their fatherland homes and stuff. I see you, Matt, 1776. That is a funny little sticker you got there.
And who knows, Brett, when all this shit is said and done, how much will dry up on these mosques that they're trying to build all over our country? How much will it just dry up?
Well, that's my point. I mean, will there be an opportunity for all these people, all these Muslims that came over here, a lot of them that came over here on, let's just say, statuses that are questionable, okay? Very questionable to say the least, all right? What's going to happen when we review that? Brandon Gill talked about there's a lot of the Muslims that came in through Afghanistan, through other regions of the world, that their status is unclear and could be potentially dangerous. I think he expressed there was about 100,000 that were let in by the Biden administration that are check marks, question marks around their, let's just say, their reality. And if they should have been allowed to be here. So this comes from altmarket.us. I think this is an excellent article. This really captures what follows next and really gets into all the other stuff with the anointing article about Trump. I think that they're trying to get more people to hate Christians even more. Yeah. I mean, that's a good thing. They want to actually sell this as a holy war, another Christian war, so to speak, in some way, another crusades, if you want to put it that way. And that's what they're trying to make, but they're not really selling the argument. We're not fighting a Muslim country, fighting Persia. Okay. They're not practicing Muslims. It's the theocratic, autocratic, satanic, atheistic, whatever group of clerics that run this, that are clearly, whatever their intentions are, they're not good. And maybe a lot of them don't even represent Islam. They're just pretending to be in some way. Have you ever considered that? That's something to think about. What happens next in Iran? Decapitation, quagmire, or World War III? An excellent article by Brandon Smith. This is a long article. I'm not going to read it all, but I'm going to put it in the chat. I want you to read it. So I'm going to go down real quickly to a couple of paragraphs. To be clear, I'm not interested in the plight of the Palestinians, the Islamic regime in Iran, or the conspiracy theories of the Groypers. I find appeals of empathy and compassion for Islamic societies to be naive. Interesting. They are perfectly indifferent and hostile to the West, and they always have been. They have also formed political alliances with far-left organizations in the U.S. and Europe with the intent to burn the West to the ground. I do not waste my time worrying about them. Interesting thought. I couldn't agree more. This is Brendan Smith of altmarket.us. Highly, highly urge you to read these articles. In fairness, I don't care about the Israeli government. Neither do I. I have no vested interest in whether or not they survive. Neither do I. In the past, Israel-supported organizations have helped in the formation of militant leftist groups, anti-conservative sentiments in the U.S. The fact that the leftist activists have turned on Israel in recent years is rather poetic. Yes, it is. I recognize many Christians would disagree with this position. No, I don't think so, Brendan. In the belief that Israel is the only Western ally keeping watch over the Holy Land, I would argue that it should be Western Christians, not Israelis. Interesting. In charge of a region, given it was ours through the Holy Roman Empire for centuries, into the Muslim hordes invaded. I'm also aware that there are numerous disinformation agents online. Here we go, who are paid on both sides. Yep. Israel, as well as many Islamic governments, run these digital operations constantly. They expand mass amounts of money to employ armies of social media shills. Their single job is to disrupt sincere discussion and sway American opinion to support one side or the other. Yeah, I think so. And we're seeing it quite well unfurl out on X, and it's massive. This tells me a lot about how important the U.S. population is to the geopolitical future of our world. Everyone wants us to pick their team or hate their opponent. What I care about first and foremost is how the geopolitical events and our involvement will affect America, Americans' interests. And what I've learned in the recent years, though, it is easy enough to predict events, but not necessarily outcomes. There are people out there that think that every international conflict or crisis is going to end in global doom. None of them have so far. Of course, all of it takes is just the right crisis to trigger a black swan. Yes, a black swan could be a variety of different events happening simultaneously. And in that scenario, it just would be a massive disaster to economies, to our system, in E&P per se. This is where I think many of us in the alternative media build lighthouses, warding ships away from the rocky shores of any incident that might become world-ending singularity. Yes, it's important to understand that our dramatic geopolitical shifts have the potential to act as linchpins impacting our lives through a chain of dominoes that is not immediately apparent until years later. Potential does not mean certainty. As I've been pointing out for many years now, the collapse is a process, not an event. Let me move on because this is a really long article, but here it is. Millions of Venezuelans around the world rejoiced, and the Venezuelan population had done nothing in the name of bringing back Maduro back. Trump's critics ignored the applause from Venezuelan nationals and argued that their opinions don't matter. Why? Because the support of Trump's invasion is inconvenient to the narrative. And then he's a mindless warmonger, and then he's betraying the voter base. This is a child response to a complex geopolitical dynamic. Many dictatorships deserve to die. The libertarian methodology, sitting around and doing nothing while bitching about people who take action, is growing stale. Yeah, it's the old George Carlin thing where you're sitting on the couch, you're throwing popcorn, you're blowing bubble gum while you're bitching and choosing while action is being done, and you sit there and you do nothing. To the war with Iran per se, I think the U.S. patriots are done with ego-stroking debates. On constitutional ideological theory, they want to see results. If a moral justification is the issue, then there is a fair case to be made for the decapitation of this Islamic regime. The Iranian government engages in some brutal theocratic oppression, and we've seen with the Taliban in Afghanistan. But on an industrial scale, if you're a woman, a political dissident, or a religious minority in Iran, you have no rights and can be arrested or murdered for any reason at any given moment. I'm not going to play the rest of this because, like I said, there's like 15 more paragraphs. But this is an excellent overview. Let me read the last part. From now on, I'm erring on the side of the Iranian government collapse and a win for Trump after a couple of months of limited strikes and covert ops, which I think is going to take place. In the meantime, I expect a wave of attempted terror attacks, even more NGO-paid riots by leftist activists, and probably an emergency effort by DHS to deport most Muslim immigrants from the country. How about that one? The cynics say nothing ever happens except something happens. Keep your head on a swivel. Excellent, excellent article. I'm going to share this in the chat. Your thoughts, Marshall? Very good overview.
Over many years, the Christians have been driven out of the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is a good time for us to be reintegrated back into that region.
Right.
You know, we used to be a huge, there used to be a huge amount of Christians there, and they've just been gradually just diminished. That shit needs to be brought back, even if there's a Christian Christian region, whatever. But I think that is another important thing that should happen, because it's just, you know, you got Jerusalem, and who's, like you just said earlier, who's in charge of this area?
Mm-hmm.
Well, where are the Christians? I mean, how come they don't? Where's their slice of the pie?
Right.
There should be a something of that effect. Just, you know.
Well, I think the point of the article, what he's suggesting is be prepared that when the uprising happens in the United States, the call to arms come into some type of, let's just say, focus, whether it's by leftist NGOs or other groups that were allowed in here. He's presenting an argument that we will be ready for the fallout and to make sure that we deport a large number of Muslims that have any, let's just say, let's put it this way, any connection to, any nexus with any terrorism that is going to take place on a mass scale. I think
the AFP in Germany is already the lady that's running, or either running or whatever. The AFP, I guess the group they call it. She's talking about, look, we're going to get rid of, we've got to deport all these people.
Right.
So they're looking at mass remigration out of their country. That's exactly what we need to do here. Absolutely. That needs to take place, Brett.
Yep. Like they're killing Christians, whites in Africa. Yes. Trump won. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Thea, for the 500 gold pills. Let's move on to this. You can like, share, and subscribe. Drop us gold pill, comments, questions, and concerns. You can help out Marshall. Ko-fi.com/surfdog74. All right. Dr. Kian Zamarodo explains what really happened in Iran. This is an interesting take. Listen to this.
Occupied by Islam. What we mean is genuinely the people that have taken us over, these guys are right here. They are not even Iranian. They are not even Persian. These lot are Arab Islamists who have come into our country, taken us over, and forced our people to follow their rules. Look at the flag that they replaced ours with. Can you see the small letters embedded within the flag? These are Arabic letters. Our own people can't even read the flag. This is the level of foreign occupation we're talking about. And I think not many people are aware of the situation. So it's important to spread this message so you guys understand what we're going through here and why we're so passionate about getting our land back.
Excellent, excellent. And you know what? I'm glad a lot of people, I've been saying this. Who are these people? What are these people? We never really get into the idea. We just call them fundamentalists. We just call them this. And a lot of people get misinterpreted who these people are. Where did they come from? How did they become who they are? Who do they really represent from? I think, you know, in some way, it's far more sinister and dark than we can fully understand. And it also could be just a farce that these people are pretending to be something that they're not, and they're wielding some type of authority as they are. Look, if you're a woman, if you're a gay, if you're any of these people living in that region, no, it's not good. And they take it seriously when they have dissidents that turn their back on the government and try to bring down the government. They'll kill you. And we already know what they did. Up to 50,000 people that basically when everything was collapsing, as we see the central bank, and people are protesting in the streets that they were about a month ago because they have no money, they have no this, they have none of that, and they want to change what happened. All right? They started rounding people up because they felt in some way that there was an operation taking place. A coup in some way was happening. They noticed it. And so what did they do? They rounded up as many people as they could, killed them. They wanted to hang people. And then Trump puts out this thing saying, look, if you continue to kill more people, it's not going to end well for you. And they kept doing it. And then here we are right now. And now everybody's shocked. Shocked there's gambling going on.
Yeah, and the same thing that guy said, it goes right back to what I said a minute ago. What he just said there, you could switch it out for Christians.
Right.
And he could be a Christian guy saying the same thing, and that would be totally true. Anyway, go ahead.
No. Look, I totally agree with that. I mean, I think the argument here is
like
that, again, asking the question, who are the people leading Iran? Who are the people that were in charge, okay, when the Shah was overthrown? And over the course of decades, 79, we'll just say, the 444 days of, the hostages, everything, the embassy attack in Lebanon, the idea that we have no idea, and Ahmadinejad, the former president, is still alive. A lot of people are reporting, even I thought he was being reported that he's dead. He's found alive still. The question is, who are these people? Who do they represent and answer to? It's a great question, and I think a lot of people that are Iranians are basically saying the same thing. All right? They are not us, and we are not them. U.S. submarine sinks an Iranian warship in the first torpedo attack since World War II. Wow. If there's a video, I'll play it. The U.S. military officially back stronger ever. Leadership Wednesday, Secretary Hegseth said U.S. submarine sank Sank a battleship with a torpedo. The featured by the U.S. Navy submarine is quite remarkable, considering the last time a submarine took out an enemy warship was World War II. How about that? How do you like them apples? I think that's fantastic. I don't think there's a picture here, but I think what it's saying here, United States Navy submarine sunk the Iranian ship with a single torpedo. As a friggin', some people are saying, so you sank a battleship that was docked at some Sri Lanka port in the Indian Ocean that was outside this, let's just say, maritime law where the war is not happening. And people are defending, and then you killed 170, 80 people, and those that survived, you left them sink in the water. Well, what are they supposed to do? What are they supposed to do? Go pick up the submarine and pick them up? Is it our job to rescue them? And then you have people on X saying, this is World War II. This is the Lusitania. These people are crazy. Literally, these people are crazy. Saying it's the Lusitania. I don't even know what the Lusitania was.
Oh my God.
Oh my, yeah, exactly.
That's like 30s? That's like a long time ago.
Oh my God. They don't even know that the Lusitania was a British U.S. ship that was a passenger ship.
Yeah.
Was it carrying
Like the Titanic.
Was it carrying munitions, transporting cargo under the guise of that? Yeah, it was. And so a German U-boat shot it, sunk it. But we're talking with there were civilians on the ship. There's no civilians on this warship, this battleship. It's just where these people come from to make such illegitimate arguments. I have no idea. So they're in waters that are protected as maritime law. You don't shoot down a battleship. You're supposed to rescue these people. What is wrong with people? Really? We're supposed to rescue these people?
It almost feels like now we're at the point where Headset is like, let's test out some of this old stuff or whatever, and try a few things. And the guy on the ship, the submarine, I think it was a submarine, right? That did it.
Yeah.
And let's try this, fellas. Let's give this one a shot. We got an old torpedo here. Let's give it a. And if you haven't seen the video, guys, look for it online. You'll find it. It's a beaut. As Flock would say.
They were fishermen on the battleship. Yeah, this is down Periscope. Down Periscope. Oh my God.
McHale's Navy.
McHale's Navy. Good one. There you go. That's a great one.
Ernest Borgnine.
Yeah. Trump considers backing Kurdish militants, which we already know hit the ground running today or tonight. President held a call to Kurdish leaders based in Iraq on Sunday. Trump is open to backing militant groups, which is happening, are willing to fight Iranian government. Among the groups, Trump is considering supporting Kurdish forces based in Iraq, who have thousands of troops along Iran-Iraq border. Wow. An idea first raised by the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who went to high school, by the way, in Pennsylvania. Did anybody know about that? All right. He was born in Israel, but lived in Pennsylvania, went to Cheltenham High School, where I think he graduated there. Did anybody else realize that? Everything about this guy is the most bizarre, weird, kookiest thing ever in some ways. He lived in Pennsylvania. He went to high school there. Go look it up. I couldn't believe it. I had to go find it on Wikipedia, and then I asked Grok if Wikipedia is telling the truth. And they said, yes, go look it up. Blew me away. Anyway, so the White House meeting during this time. So when he first came over and sat with Trump for hours, you would have thought Netanyahu would have figured it all out, the official said. He said he had a successor planned out. He had the Kurds all figured out, 2 sets of Kurdish groups here. And this many people are all going to rise up. Axios reported that Trump spoke with leaders of 2 main Kurdish factions in Iraq, which was confirmed by Patriotic Union of Kurdistan, which is based in Iraq, Kurdistan, where the U.S. maintains a military presence. Okay. I mean, look, the idea that we already had covert ops, CIA there, bringing in munitions to fund them in so many ways, to get them on the line to fight them back. Because let's face it, we're not going to put boots on the ground, at least not 100,000 to it. We might have covert groups working amongst these people, having special operations, okay, that you're not going to see. No badges, no flags on it. You don't want that out there. You don't want to see that. You don't want that. entanglement of friendly fire or what have you. So I think in some way, this is an interesting tell. I'm not really sure how I perceive this in some way. I mean, what's going to happen? What do they get out of this? See, I'm trying to understand, what do the Kurds get out of this? Do they get a peaceful territory from being on the border, from not being attacked from the Iranian IRGC? I mean, what do they get out of this per se? Do they get salvation out of this? Do they get, let's just say, to live not in fear by an Iran-Iraq war, or Iran moving in or mobilizing into Iraq, which they have done many a times? Is that what it's about? I mean, I just want to know what's the end goal here, benefit for them, Marshall?
It's that to me sounds like a realistic. They want to play. They want they want to be left alone.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be. They're just like anybody. I mean, for the most part, they want to just have their family, do their thing, whatever. And I would believe that, like we mentioned, you talked about earlier, boots on the ground, official army guys running like Utah Beach or whatever. No, that's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to see that happen. I think that we got our operators, like you mentioned, and we talked about Monday night. They're going to be working with the Kurds, and they're going to run it like that. I don't think we there's no need for us to do all that.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to send a bunch of our people right on the ground. Not
necessary. So Boneless Chicken says, I have to think most of the crew of that ship were conscripted. We're so fortunate to be born in the U.S. Really like winning. Life's lauder. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I get it. I understand. Polymarket quietly pulls nuclear detonation prediction market after it draws nearly 850,000 in bets. Just recently, they had bets where it totaled $58 million. Okay? They still have not paid out for predicting that Khomeini would be killed on a certain day. So now they're not paying it because they pulled that and saying, well, we don't want to use this as a scope of determining someone being killed. Okay, but you allowed it to take place. You took bets on this, all right? And then now the bets have paid off. You don't want to pay out the bet. So look at this. Polymark quietly pulls nuclear detonation prediction if it draws nearly 850,000. Look at this, 5%, 11%. Found itself under fire once again after users noticed it was taking bets on a nuclear catastrophe. The crypto-based prediction platform recently let traders wager on whether the U.S. would strike Iran when real-world violence erupted and hundreds of people died in the conflict. Critics question why anyone could profit from war. Well, it happens. I mean, there's markets to bet on these things. Let me blow this up so you guys can see it. Here it is. Soon after, the attention turned to a separate event that asked whether a nuclear weapon would detonate this year. The market drew heavy trading and attention. Polymarket's nuclear detonation market, titled Nuclear Weapon Detonation Buy, attracted more than $847,000 in trading volume. Contracts covered 3 potential timelines: March 31st, June 30th, and before 2027. Before the company archived the page, it tweeted 22% probability of a nuclear weapon being detonated by the end of 2026 on X. Wow. You got to think about it. Not just a week ago. They still haven't paid out the $58 million of bets that went for predicting Khomeini's death not even a couple of days ago. So now they're pulling that back. They're pulling this back. So realistically, when you look at the poly market, you have to say that people that are rationally predicting these things, are they a harbinger? I mean, is this a good way that we could, does anybody believe in some way a nuclear weapon will be detonated by the end of this year? 22% think so. I mean, the way things are these days, I'm not sure. And the question is, it doesn't say whom will do so. Polymarket has created a market that would monetize a nuclear attack amid increasing concerns that bets are happening among government insiders. Think about that, who can make military decisions. He post racked up 4.6 million views on 5.5 thousand retweets. Sorry to bother you in the middle of your Tuesday, but the poly market for nuke detonating before June 30th is at 17%. Oh, there's that number. This market is full of shameless insiders So watch for the massive spike. They defended the platform before pulling the event. Well, you took the bets, you hedged them, and now you're not paying out. That's kind of shitty if you think so in some way, or give the money back.
Yeah, I mean, they started this little charade here, and then they saw they were losing their ass, so they pulled it and they did this, which is really underhanded.
Yeah,
and I don't believe that there's going to be any. I mean, look, nuclear, I doubt that. I don't see it.
Okay. Well, this is the last thing about this, and then we'll move into other territory. I don't want to bother people with the same stories regarding about Iran. A lot of people just kind of went over their head. Boneless Chicken, thank you for the can. We'll get to this. Trump hits back at the war critics, Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson. Basically, it says, here, let me blow this up. Again, another magnifying glass scenario. All right. This is a detour we have to take in order to keep our country safe, keep our country safe. Frankly, I have to do what's right, number one. And you can't have Iran getting a nuclear weapon. Remarks came after Kelly delivered commentary early Monday accusing the Trump administration of abandoning America's first. I got serious doubts what we're doing on why she's skeptical and concerned about Trump's Iran war in collaboration with Israel. Okay. Why are we doing this now? What's the catalyst? I have serious doubts. Zeroing in specifically on Kelly, Trump told Bade late Monday, probably Blade, it could have been Blade, I think they misspelled it, said Bade late Monday evening, that the podcast host had to study our history book a little bit. And he pushed back. Megyn was opposed to me for years when I ran for the first time. Nothing stopped me. So now you know some people are against, and they're always come back. She always came back. She came all the way back, but now I guess she maybe doesn't like the idea of this war, but I do because I have to keep nuclear weapons out of the hands of Iranians. As for Carlson, he reportedly sent to the White House warning over the weekend. He's been to the White House 3 times this month. And this guy says some things that are just, off the wall, disgusting and evil. Okay. This is his first part. We're unfazed by the attack. I think in some way he enjoys this. I think in some way there's a lot of agitprop going on. He allows Tucker to come in here. All right. Tucker says what he says. He gets an idea with this. And then Tucker spews what he's going to say. And then Trump does this in some way. Is it plausible deniability? I mean, what is this happening? Does he get insight to what's happening and then tries to run his mouth to spin this subjectively for his audience? I mean, what do you take from this? I don't know. The current operation is so different from the other two because the president has clearly defined what he wants to accomplish in Iran and cannot have a nuclear weapon. Okay. I mean, look, I
think what a lot of this is right here is that if anything, it draws out a lot of reaction from various people, and you can see where they stand.
Right.
And I think that's what a lot of this is. I don't think that either one of those two are really actually going against Trump. No. I think they're doing something that they're doing this.
You think they're doing it as an agitprop, as a propagandist operation to bring people out in the open, to force them to reveal who they are. Well, speaking of that, considering that, and we're talking about influencers, did anybody see this? This comes from Mina Unleashed. This is nuts. Remember social media influencers Netanyahu hired for $7,000 a video. They never got paid. Literally, lawsuits in millions of dollars were filed for unpaid invoices against the government after it failed to pay on time. I guess it is true. There is no honor among thieves. Claims in millions. They were recruited for outreach at the height of the crisis and discovered that there was no one to pay them. And now they're suing. Think about this. When you sue, you open yourself up for discovery. And what happens in discovery? You're going to have to be named as a plaintiff in the action or respondent in the action. And that information is going to come out. And so what you're going to be doing is you're going to be revealing who you are. And then everybody will know what type of fucking shill you were to begin with because you sold your soul. And that's the bottom line. And you know what? Good riddance. Good riddance to all of them. But I think this is just glorious in one way, but the stupidity, because they took the bait, hook, line, and sinker, and they wanted the money. They're greedy bagels, all right? And a lot of them are. They took the money. They were dangling out the Benjamin Franklins all over the place. And now that they withheld the money and they're not getting paid, wow, what a bunch of dirt slop. But in the end, this is all going to come back onto them because now their information will come out through being either a plaintiff or a respondent in this case, depending on who's filing what. Is it going to be a class action one? How is this going to unfurl out? I think the discovery motions will be, let's just say, quite shocking.
They got played.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah, they got played.
And good.
Here's a never trust a Jew when there's a check in the mail. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, and it's not even that. And this was all set up. All what was it? The binder people.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
binder
remember, this was the 7,000. They were recruiting people on TikTok to do this. Remember, they were going through the process of recruiting all these people on TikTok and all these different things in some way. Was this all a farce? Were they being used? Obviously, they were being used. Thank you, Thea, for the phone. Really appreciate that.
Oh, they were being exposed. They just got exposed.
Honestly, I think it's karma, baby. It's definitely karma. Yeah. I mean, you're all about the money. You're all about the dirt slop. And here you got. You're a bunch of whores. And now, you know what? No one's putting any money in your fucking underwear jar. You're screwed. And now you're going to reveal yourself because your greed has taken over. All right? And your anger for what you did because you realize you fucking stepped in it. Oh, baby. So here we go. Intelligence reports state dead cartel leader known as El Mencho allegedly kept a secret list of 221 global leaders who placed orders for trafficked children, specific ages and preferences. Whoa, what's this?
Cartel leader El Mencho, who
Sounds
was
like
just
something out of
killed, had
Q.
a list of all the different world leaders that were on it and who was trying to get children. Because the drug traffickers make more money at trafficking children. And he has a list of world leaders and powerful people who are asking for certain kids and ages and types. And that list is what they're trying to protect right now.
One of the things that's going to become shocking out of Mencho is we have collected now the intel, the data on his computers and other data communication systems. He has a list, 221, as I think it's counting.
He's got a list. Do you hear that? That's funny, Casey Snowman. Ain't no Jew sensing out a check. That's funny. I get it, but that's an old joke that was done back in the 70s, 80s that they said that. There's a whole joke surrounding that. So don't read too much into that old expression.
Of all those global leaders, including many in the United States, who are placing their preference and their order in what kind of child they want to be trafficked across the border. So
is that going to go public? Because that's important that it gets.
It is. If there's anything I can do about it, Sarah, you better believe it's going to be public. But it's the same thing as the Epstein file. They are even now, as we're speaking, figuring out how to shut me up. How do we do it to where we hold people accountable, but still keep the system from collapsing, as you talked about earlier? We have to base our decisions on principle, not on what is expedient.
Wow. Marshall, what do you think about that? Are they going to dangle this out or are they going to use this as leverage? I mean,
that's absolutely leverage.
I mean,
now in we've got, what was this, Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
So now we've got all of these names, global names.
Mm-hmm.
So that's even more than what we already had. So to me, the whole Venezuela thing was a cornucopia of like gold and silver, I mean,
yeah,
for us, yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a leverage maker, big time.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I mean, you'd have to consider, why would you put that out? You want to leverage these people. You want information.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? And also you want to consider that if you're on a list and you're there to purchase and procure children, you're part of the human trafficking cult. Well, you know what? Your ass is going to jail. I mean, there's no salvation for you in any way. And I don't care what the fault is. I don't care what you have to give up or surrender to save your ass. You shouldn't get a pass anyway. Max Dog over here on Rumble. I don't like anyone saying Donald Trump is a 5D chess player when he does wrong. Everyone treats him like a child. There's no left or right. Uniparty is, and we are allowed ourselves to be fooled. Yeah, I totally agree. Like the whole argument that people are pulling their hair out, it's like that Trump will decide very soon regarding the Texas primary with Ken Paxton and John Cornyn and the runoff, that who he will decide to run against this psycho, this fake Christian who has some really nutso stuff that just won his primary, and he beat the ghetto queen. I mean, look, the whole thing is just nuts. And I understand that people are getting ahead of the narrative saying he's going to choose Cornyn for the SAVE Act. Okay, whatever. Don't lose your shit over this whole thing. And, you know, Ken Paxton already come out and said, I ain't dropping out. And you know what? He very much may win this in some way. Think about this, that if President Trump does go ahead and say, look, I'm going to support Cornyn because he's got a better shot of pulling this off, Ken Paxton's going to end up winning because a lot of people are like, you know what? Fuck that. We're going to go all in. And so we'll see what happens on that with the runoff between those two. It's going to light a lot of tires up. I can tell you that right now. A lot of people are going to be pulling their hair out and what the hell is going on. Brutal night in Texas points to trouble ahead of the House members. So One-Eyed Willie, he's gone. Tuesday night, 4 House members will face grueling the runoff. And why it matters, a staggering 30 Democrats are facing at least one primary challenge who raised 100,000 more. There is less. Dan Crenshaw, he lost. So Steve Toth won. Al Green, I think he lost. He's out. He's out. Al Green is done. You know, that's the guy with the cane. Tony Gonzalez, he's out. He lost. He's facing the ethics probe. Let's see. Julie Johnson, million to spend. Abandoned Senate bin. I got more. I think there's a couple more.
And don't forget Crenshaw. Everybody forgets Crenshaw, the one-eyed snake.
Yeah, One-Eyed Willie. Yep.
Everybody doesn't. They're not talking about him online.
Yeah, and you know what? Because
whatever.
Yeah, but no one cares about him. Everybody knows he's like, what's her name? Liz Cheney. He's more like Liz Cheney. I mean, that's what he's turned out to be in a lot of ways. You know, but is he worse than Massey? At least he votes for bills in some way. Massey doesn't vote for anything that Trump puts forth that the House sets. At least he votes on these things, you know. But is he a spineless wimp? Yeah. I mean, he's not sitting on anything, and now he's out. And he reminds me of a lot of other people that were done as well, and it doesn't matter at this point. They saw through it. Most eyes were on John Cornyn, and Cornyn edged out of Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. There's going to be a runoff. Primaries claim 2 scouts for Trump. Jasmine Crockett, she's gone. She's going back to Popeyes or Waffle House to work. We'll face Democrat James Tirico. This guy is crazy. Listen to this mouth. The loud and sometimes foul-mouthed Crockett, one of Trump's most vocal, easily essentially redistricted out of her House seat and the primary's best chance for her remaining. Now, she may be gonzo in a lot of ways. Foul-mouthed, ghetto, what have you. But this guy, Tirico, fake Christian, you should hear what he says about abortion, about trans, about equating Mary, and all these different things. The
God
birth
was
of Jesus.
binary.
This guy, God, Jesus Christ is binary.
Jesus.
I mean, there's so many things. He's not really white. He's black. I mean, the stuff that's coming out of this guy's mouth, and this guy is a fake pastor. And, you know, when you understand who he is, you will get to understand very soon. I'm going to show it to you. In the U.S. House primaries for Texas, all the incumbents, both Republican and Democrat, triumph in their respective races except for Dan Crenshaw. Former Navy SEAL Crenshaw once got into the House quickly, blah, blah, blah. Trump endorsement game in North Carolina. Roy Cooper, former Republican National Committee Chair, Watley, both easily won their primaries and will face off in the November open seat. Here it is. The Times records him having endorsed 35 incumbents and 11 challengers. It's fair to note that 16 of the 35 were running unopposed. This is President Trump's endorsements. Wow. And everyone except one of the endorsed either already won or were winning, most by comfortable margins. The single exception was Carlos de la Cruz, who was running for the newly drawn 35th district in Texas. John Lewin came out on top in that Republican primary, but has not avoided a runoff. Wow. Big day for Trump's picks. About 35 people? How many was it? 35, 40 people? They were saying that it was just a shit ton of people that he picked or endorsed all one. So you could tell that his endorsements are still carrying weight, Marshall.
Well, and this thing that keeps going around on the internet about him he's going to endorse Cornyn, and
Yeah.
all this. And I'm like, you know what? If he does that,
Yeah.
and you've heard it with some other one or two other candidates, I'm almost like, is Trump saying, you know what? Why don't you think for yourself?
Yeah.
Don't follow everything. I'm going to be out of here in a few years. Start thinking for yourself, idiots. You know, have your own critical thinking.
Yeah.
That
Don't
almost
don't have blind loyalty. Don't have blind loyalty. We
feels
discussed that on yesterday's on Wednesday's show. I talked a little bit on Thomas's show about the problem of blind loyalty. All right. You cannot just be following that. You have every right to critically think. You have every right to interpret. You have every right to think about this. Did you take the jab when President Trump was going around during the first term or the second term during the time of COVID and stuff about warp speed and vaccines? Did you go out and take that because he spoke of that? Did you?
I didn't.
I didn't. So again, blind loyalty, okay, doesn't help in these matters. You need to think for yourself. Just because President Trump says something doesn't necessarily mean what he's saying is what he's saying. It could be a psychological operation. It's perception management. Everything that he says is a con. May mean the opposite. May mean upside down. You don't know. Again, that's why I'm saying be careful about the blind loyalty and what it is. And the idea that this Cornyn thing that's heating up that they're going to get into regarding the runoff and who he's going to endorse, they're already setting this stage up. And a lot of people are like, fuck that, I'm voting for Paxton. And we understand that there are people out there, the blind loyalty people, the condescending MAGA people that are 100% all whatever, and no matter what you say, even if you have a critical thought, doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter. You can't say anything to these people. And they're suggesting that this is going to be done because a deal will be placed because of the SAVE Act. Okay, I get it. I understand it. I'm not a 2-year-old. You can explain it to me. I got it. I understand it. But that does not take away from the fact is, if that happens, which very likely will, all right, and I think there will be an outpouring for Paxton. So deliberately done for a deal, but might end up blowing up. And then now he's going to have to run off against this Tellerico guy who seems kind of been formidable, but he's batshit crazy. Another one, then anything comes out of his mouth. Did anybody hear about this? This guy almost tried to kill Ken Paxton. A masked man with several rounds of ammunition arrested outside Ken Paxton's election night. This was like, I had to go find this, and it was like, no one's even talking about it. According to hotel workers, a man entered the Marriott, told the staff he was an Uber driver. However, the staffers became suspicious of the man's story after noticing his car outside the hotel had no license plate. Wow. Dallas police officers took a man into custody at a hotel where the state attorney general Paxton was set to hold an election night watch party. It was not immediately clear whether the detention was related. Antifa masked man entered the hotel. Ken Paxton's party is being held. Mask camo, rucksack. Security kicked him out. The man has not been identified on video. Interesting. He had clips. He had magazines. He had weapons in his car. A lot of this story is quite odd, and they're not really talking about too much of this. I don't think they want to make political hay about this. They want to keep this under wraps. But this is something serious you got to consider. Are we also looking at the potential where the crazies are going to come out and try to, let's just say, go head hunting for these candidates that are MAGA-based, supported, or in some way something even far worse? Is this what we're going to see now? More of this uptick of violence against political opponents that they figure can sway the election, sway Texas in some way, or is this just a one-off?
No, I think there's going to be more of this shit. But it's not gonna do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it might. Hopefully, nobody gets killed.
Right.
But it's gotten high enough where people are just so tired of it.
Yeah, I agree.
Protest, the burning, all this. It's just people are just so over it, man.
Thank you, Wood USA, for the 717 gold pills. Need more gold pill love. Support the boy stream. Thank you. Here we are. So President Trump says he will be making an endorsement in the Texas Senate race soon, and that whoever doesn't endorse should drop out immediately. Now, I heard Cornyn today saying he ain't dropping out. So if I'm not picked, I'm not endorsed, I'm not dropping out. And you know what? By all accounts, he shouldn't drop out. And I get that. And I understand it because he says, it must be Ken Paxton. Ronald Cornyn only pretends to support during the election years. And I don't think, look, I understand what he's doing. It makes logical sense to pick Cornyn to make a deal for the SAVE Act because he's the one who was holding this up. It's in one way logically set up as used as some type of let's just say grift here. But here's the other point you have to consider. I think the volatility of the weight of the endorsement, because Cornyn is such a fucking rhino, anti-Trump, totally established guy. The weight of a lot of people will see this and say, no. I'm voting for, and if you live in Texas, in that state, I probably see an overwhelming people vote for Ken Paxton. Now, there's a Bush clan out there that don't like Ken Paxton. And after seeing what I saw about someone trying to take him out, I grow worrisome about his future Senate bid. But in some way, this could backfire. And you have to consider how this backfires. So I think any way you look at it is going to be a win for Trump. But the endorsement for him could really blow back into the face of everything. You're the man, Brett. A lot of people let their emotions get in their way. I pray for a country. Yeah, I agree. No, it's not my Senate. This is not, I don't care about this race. I mean, I like Ken Paxton and stuff. I mean, obviously, you want him to win. You can logically balance this out. But President Trump putting his thumb on the scale of dividing MAGA in this way, purposefully for the SAVE Act, could unite people to vote for Ken Paxton and him take this out. Now, whether he's got a shot to beat Tellerico or not, I don't know. Who's to say he can't? Who is this guy anyway? A fake pastor? This guy is weird. Wait till you see some of his stuff. Marshall, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit bewildered by his getting involved in a primary. To me, is problematic as it is. But obviously, Trump is he knows he does these things for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it does tell me, like I mentioned earlier, is he's trying to tell people to, why don't you think for yourselves?
Yeah.
For a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But that's the only, I can't think of any other, because like you said, Cornyn's been there. He's like Mitch McConnell 2.0, but he's a little younger.
I mean, it's not even that. Guy's such a backstabbing weasel. Tom Tillis from North Carolina, he's gone too. His term is up this year anyway, so he'll be gone this year, Tom Tillis as well. But the idea that you got so many snakes there, I think President Trump getting involved is smart. And the way that this is being balanced out, it's logical. You could see it from both sides. And I know there are people going to freak out. Like, I don't care. I mean,
look, put a spotlight on it.
Yeah, I mean, look, Ashley Moody is right. I mean, she's up for re-election. She was appointed there by by Governor DeSantis. And, look at our senators. I mean, I have to look and balance out what we're going to have to do and see, is she the right candidate? The former attorney general from Florida, Ashley Moody, who's now the senator of Florida, taking over Rubio's seat. I don't know. I mean, she's going to be there because she has a special election. So the Texas Senate race, the gay preacher Democrats nominated believes Mary's enunciation justifies abortion. I mean, honestly, he's a gay preacher. That just right there, that tells you, nah, it's an anathema, by the way, if you think about it. The angel comes down and asks Mary if this is something she wants to do. To me, this is affirmation that creation has to be done with consent. I mean, what in the, and this guy come from like these regions where they have these crazy holy roller churches, as I call them. And I know a lot of people don't like that terminology, but they're not really churches. The evangelical, the Cirque du Soleil crowds, these things in general, these are who these people are representing. I mean, honestly, what in the name is this guy talking about? And it's more about this guy.
Text of abortion, because before God comes over Mary and we have the incarnation, God asks for Mary's consent, which is remarkable. I mean, go back and read this in Luke. I mean, the angel comes down and asks Mary if this is something she wants to do. And she says, if it is God's will, let it be done. Let it be. Let it happen. So to me, that is an affirmation in one of our most central stories that creation has to be done with consent. You cannot force someone to create. Creation is one of the most sacred acts.
Well, if you force consent, it's called rape, you jerk off. I mean, think about it. I mean, if you're not getting permission to sleep with somebody, you're raping them. I mean, honestly, I mean, isn't that like obvious? What is he talking about? Obviously, consent. Oh, I want to have a baby with you. So in getting your consent, I just rape you. Okay. So what is he talking about? I mean, listen to the rest of this.
That we engage in as human beings, but that has to be done with consent. It has to be done with freedom, and to me, that is absolutely consistent with the ministry and life and death of Jesus. And so that's how I come down on that side of the issue. But
man, and there's a lot worse that this guy says about transgenderism, homosexuality, about Jesus Christ, about a lot of different things in his sermons. He believes that there are multiple genders. Again, another gay preacher pushing the transgender homophobia onto people. I mean, not homophobia, but the transgender nonsense. And he believes in multiple genders. So this is another lunatic that the Democrats want to sneak in and steal an election. Yes, they want to steal an election, Marshall.
This guy is a total, you know what? He reminds me of, if there were a thing, as the grandson of Jim and Tammy Faye Baker.
Yeah.
Because
that's what,
I mean, those people were the biggest scam artists.
Yeah.
But he's like on steroids.
Mm-hmm.
And he's sitting here talking about all this, everything he says, with the, like you mentioned, the transgender stuff and all this other crap. All of it goes against the Bible. All of it. And I'm not no theologian, but it's pretty blatant. I mean, he is a complete fraud. And man, we have gone really a long way.
Is he a Mormon, Trusty Turnup? I thought he's an evangelical preacher. I'm not sure about that, but he has some batshit crazy theories. I mean, it could be. I got to look it up, but I mean, he's definitely out there, weird. And you know, I'm not really sure about who he works at. I mean, it could be a Mormon. I mean, it could be. I'm not really sure, but it's just odd. So Tim Walz might have just landed himself in prison. He just got exposed for restarting taxpayer payments and Somalia fraudsters tying to feeding our future. Listen to this with Jim Jordan today. So everything today was on the Hill.
About why you restarted
in the Senate and the House, major stuff.
Why didn't you tell the truth about why you restarted the payments?
Well, Chairman, we did tell you. And Feeding Our Future grew because of the pandemic. And
I didn't ask that question. I said, why didn't you tell the truth about why you restarted the payments? The payments stopped because there were concerns, obviously. It wouldn't stop the payments. Then they're restarted a month later. What was the reason for restarting the payments?
My understanding was the agency believed that the court had required them to make those payments.
And that was false, wasn't it? You repeated that. You said that, didn't you? You said that's why the reason you said the reason you restarted is because the court ordered you to do so. Is that right?
I don't believe that is settled yet, to the best of my knowledge.
Well, I think it is, because the court did something that I don't know if I've ever seen it. They issued a statement saying you were wrong in what you were saying. This is from the court. It says, Feeding Our Future versus Minnesota Department of Education, correcting reports and statements by Governor Tim Walz concerning orders issued by the court. Here's what the judge says. Governor Tim.
Yes, that was Tellerico on the Joe Rogan Experience.
Walz told the media that the Minnesota Department of Education attempted in payments to FOF because of possible fraud, but that Judge Guthman ordered payments to continue in April 2021. Next sentence. That is false. So you said something wasn't true. He further states this. Judge Guthman, the court says this. Judge Guthman never ordered the Department of Education to resume payments to Feeding Our Future in April 2021 or at any other time. So I want to know, why didn't you tell the truth?
Congressman, the attorneys at the Department of Education interpreted that differently. Both of those judges are no longer on the bench. And
Let
I
me
think
just
that
read the
interpretation.
very first sentence, the first 7 words. This is not some unnamed source talking to the New York Times. This is not some anonymous source talking to whatever your Minnesota Star Tribune or whatever your paper is. This is the court speaking. First sentence, first 7 words. Due to inaccurate statements by the governor, Ramsey County District Court judge has issued and authorized this following news release. That's pretty straightforward. So the court's lying?
I can't tell you, Congressman, but the interpretation was it.
Somebody's lying because you can't.
He just got caught. And what he's reading right there, the courts are saying that the governor, all right, acted on his own behalf, did not tell them what he was doing, and initiated anyway. So he continued on laundering this money and perpetuating the fraud out, knowing full well what was taking place. He's in deep trouble. He's in deep trouble. Let's couple more. I got some more wall stuff, and we're gonna go through. He gets pounded. This guy gets pounded in the house. I mean, literally, he gets fucking destroyed. Listen to this shit. Fallon, Representative Fallon, when Obama was choosing VP, he wanted to make sure you weren't as smart as him and had less talent. So he picked Biden. And then Biden in 2020 did the same, picking Harris. In 2024, it's evident why Harris picked you. Holy shit.
Know this, but it's been widely reported that in 2008, when Barack Obama was choosing his vice presidential candidate, he had 3 criteria. He wanted to make sure he picked somebody that wasn't as smart as him,
smirks in the back,
and had less talent and charisma, and couldn't possibly outshine him. So he picked Joe Biden. And then Joe Biden in 2020 used the exact same criteria. He wanted to make sure he picked somebody who wasn't as smart as him, had less talent and charisma, and wouldn't outshine him. And he picked Kamala Harris. And then in 2024, Governor, I think it's very evident why Kamala Harris picked you. The talent pool, Mr. Chairman, hey, Mr. Chairman, the talent pool isn't just shallow, brother. We have hit the shore, and I yield back.
Wow. It just gets blasted. Calls him a dummy and everything. I mean, low IQ. Pretty painful when you see it. Oh, this is a good one. Lauren Boebert. This comes from Libs of TikTok. Let's play this one. I got so much of these things, and I wanted to play this because, I mean, you can't find it. You got to – it's not about a lot of this
Governor
stuff. It's the credulity of all this stuff. It's all the stuff about how laughable but how sad it is, and it's almost embarrassing. And that's what you're made to see. Tim Walz exposed for not knowing Americans murdered in his state by criminal illegals. Can you believe that? Let's listen to Boebert.
You know who Victoria Eileen Harwell is?
I do not believe I do.
What about American Mafalda Tire?
I don't believe I do.
There. These are Minnesota women who were brutally killed by illegal aliens in your state. You don't know who they are, so I would also assume that you did not attend their vigils or speak out to their families when they were brutally killed by illegal aliens.
I'm not familiar with both of these, no, Congresswoman.
No, just the hard-hitting CNN ones.
Yeah, and this is a guy who attended the funeral of Renee No Good and the other guy.
Freddie.
What's that?
Freddie.
Yeah. So they have no problem with attending those funerals. But the victims of his state that were murdered by illegal criminal alien scum, yeah, not a big deal. It's plain as day. I don't even have to go batshit crazy about this. I don't have to. I don't have to lose my shit on this stuff. It is plain as day. They don't give a flying fuck about you. If you were in a blue city state fiefdom and your governor is one of these scumbags like this piece of shit who's a criminal, probably even worse than that, but let's just leave it at that. Allowing and perpetrating the fraud, the theft, $12, $13, $19 billion. They couldn't give two shits if you were murdered. That's why they allow the sanctuary cities and states to operate, because they don't care about their systems. As long as they're getting something on the back end for the grift, they don't really care, which keeps them in office because they know they have the illegals there to back them up when it comes time to steal the vote.
And the thing that gets me is when I look at the lawyers behind them,
Mm-hmm.
because you look at their demeanor and they're like not happy. You know, you can tell the lady on his left or right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were not liking this whole deal. So
Who was not liking this? Explain.
the lawyers that are sitting behind him,
his lawyers.
Yeah, his.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you could tell that they were not. They were like, this guy was getting demolished.
He was getting roped. I mean, honestly, you can hang this guy. You might as well just put the you might as well be able to get the hangman noose out while he was there, because it was so ugly for both these guys. Listen to this. Here's Ellison. You took aim at Minnesota Doe. You said Minnesota Doe fought the nonprofit in a very racist, xenophobic, Islamophobic manner. This guy's a piece of shit. He hates white people. This is when you talk about the Muslim scum, part of the Muslim Brotherhood, and all these other people that he allowed to what? Grift and graft. This guy projects pure racism, and you wonder why Whitey is not happy. Listen to this. Listen how bad this is.
Times. All right. Reclaiming my time. In that same meeting with the fraudsters, Mr. Attorney General, you took aim at the Minnesota Department of Education. You stated that the Minnesota Department of Education had fought the nonprofit in very disgusting ways, in a very racist, xenophobic, and Islamophobic manner. You actually asked for the names of all these folks who are just hung up and offered to call the Minnesota Department of Education to, quote, demand some explanations. We now know that when you made these comments, the Biden DOJ was working with the Minnesota Department of Education, and that their work exposed the massive fraud ring. Pretty bad look for you, sir. Either you were oblivious to what was going on under your nose, or worse, you were trying to obstruct the work of the Minnesota Department of Education. So I can see the time is getting short. Mr. Chairman, we are left with two questions. One, what did Governor Walz and Keith Ellison know about the fraud? And two, when did they actually know it? I would suggest that if they do not give direct and truthful answers to both these questions at this hearing, then they both need to be put under oath in a deposition.
Oh, man. I can't wait for these two to get indicted.
See him seething.
Yeah, I mean,
you could literally see the hate in his face.
Well, he can't handle it. He can't handle it. He can't handle the fact he knows they're coming for him. There's nothing he can do about it. He's screwed. The governor's screwed. Listen to this. This should pull your hair out. Listen to this again. Another one. Tim Walz confronted with the brutal reality of the Somalia third worlders leeching off America. More disgusting behavior.
Do you believe the 70,000 strong Somali community as a whole has made a positive impact on your state?
I do.
So you'd be the opinion, fair to say, that the Somali community has successfully assimilated and is making Minnesota better?
Yeah, I believe they're on that path. Yes.
I'm just curious by what metric you'd come to that conclusion. I just looked at some hard data.
But how much money they've
stolen? Do you have any
stolen?
idea what percentage of the native-born Minnesotans, all races, live in poverty in your state right now?
I don't have specifically.
I'll share it with you. It's 8%. For the Somali
How do
community,
you not
it's 52%.
know that? You're the governor.
How about receiving food stamps?
I don't know.
All right, I'll run it down with you. It's 7%, and then compared to 54% in the Somali community, and then don't have at least a high school diploma for all Minnesotans. It's 5%. Somali community, it's 39%. One family member at least on Medicaid, it's 18% for Minnesota, 73% for the Somali community, and receiving welfare of some form, it's 21%. And that's 81% for the Somali community. Governor, do you happen to know what the percentages of all those who have currently been charged in this staggering social services fraud scheme were native-born Minnesotans? What percentage?
I do not have that.
I think it was 85 out of 98, which comes out to 13% Minnesotan and 87% Somali Minnesotan. So I think this is an instance, perhaps, of where woke gets slapped by data. Governor, there's been billions stolen over 7+ years right under your nose. And really, there's only two explanations. It's either you were in on it or you weren't smart enough to see it. It's either criminal negligence or wild incompetence. And the only way this kind of fraud can reach this scale is if there's people in power that are colluding and collaborating and willfully blinding themselves to the realities around them. And in oversight, when we do investigations, it's rare for us to have whistleblowers because they face retribution and punishment and resentment, and they can be ostracized, and it's difficult and it's uncomfortable, and sometimes it's even dangerous. So when we have having an investigation and we have even a couple of whistleblowers. It's very valuable to us because they provide invaluable insight. Do you have any idea how many whistleblowers are working from Minnesota are working with the Oversight Committee?
I do not. We have our own strong protections in the OLA, the independent.
Well, and it's 30. I mean, I haven't seen that in 5+ years in Congress. 30. Governor, on September 16th, 2020.
So basically what it was is that all the whistleblowers that came to Governor Walz, he dismissed them. He fired them. He got rid of them. He shooed them away. And now the same people that were pushed out, that came to the governor and told him about all this stuff, are now going to the oversight. 30 people. And he said that's a rarity. So why so many people have so much information about what? Giving it out to it's just extraordinary, Marshall. Just extraordinary what we're hearing and what we're seeing. I can't imagine this guy walking away, him or Ellison, because like he said, you're either in on it or you're so incompetent of a boob that you didn't see it, or maybe you didn't want to see it.
The whole state is corrupt as shit.
Oh, it's just
and they're all part of it. All of them. Every goddamn one of them.
Yeah.
I am so, people. I am really surprised that people haven't gone out and started like losing their shit, because if you're not paying attention, then you're just sitting there on your couch.
Right.
But if you're paying
and you're bitching about the Iran war.
Yeah,
you're because your pacifism and your leftist ideology is just becoming unchecked, and you can't handle yourself. You got like Tourette syndrome, and you're just like moving all over the place, and I don't, and that's how people respond, because they don't have good enough information to process. They can't explain these things. What you're seeing with Governor Walz, I mean, honestly, we all know, all right, he's a part of the grift. All right. He set this up. He allowed them to do this. He made sure that he was getting money in the back end, him and Ellison. And this money was flowing in to the campaign of Kamala Harris during the election of 2024. Absolutely. He had raised what? $60 million. Where did that money come from? The grift of Minnesotans.
It reminds me of the old movie. Back in the 70s, it was a newscaster, and he said, "Go to your windows right now and yell out the window, 'I'm sick and tired and I'm not going to take it anymore.'" That's where we're at right now. And if y'all don't know that movie, look it up, because it's a great movie, and that's where we're at right now, in my opinion. I don't know if you remember that movie, Brett, but.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Here we go. Thomas Sewell quotes Jesse Lee Patterson. Black people hate white people. Really? Tell us something we don't know. Listen to his explanation, too. This is great. And you wonder why I say we have a de facto civil war in this country. Because they don't like you. That's why the violence, the uptick of violence is through the roof. I don't care that we have less of it since, 100 years or what have you.
They don't report it.
It's still underreported. We get blamed for a lot of stuff. The idea that how the FBI puts out violent crime really just sets the stage and shows you how shocking and how sad it is. But if it's not them executing us, you got criminal illegal aliens on top of it. Listen to the rest of this shit.
Hate white people. And I've been saying for the last 26 years that most blacks, not all, but most black people hate white Americans. They literally hate them. And it's been going on for the last 60 years or so. And now it's even worse because it's evil to hate. And each generation gets.
You hear that? Not all, but most. When Chris Tucker used to say, when Chris Rock used to say the guy that's bagging your groceries that's black, he hates your guts. He fucking can't stand you. It's true. It's true. You meet somebody at the grocery store or anything right now, polite conversation, they fucking hate your guts. It's absolutely sad, but it's true. And again, I say it again, why can't I just live on my own island? When I wake up, I want to look in the mirror. I want to see someone that looks like me. Is that so wrong? They want to live in their own cliques, their own neighborhoods, their own ghettos, their own shitholes themselves. Why is it any different that we don't feel that way? Let's continue.
Get worse and worse at it. And so they hate white people. And the proof is in the pudding is that because If they didn't, you wouldn't see what's happening now happening. And if they didn't, it wouldn't be just happening to white folks. They hate white people because they've been lied to and they're angry. It's easy to deceive angry people because they're blind and can't see. Angry people don't really see the reality of what's happening. Black people.
Yeah, I get that. And that there may be a moniker of truth about that, a moniker of truth, but it's nevertheless, look at the statistics.
Look at Irina.
I mean, yeah. Look what's going on in Charlotte. It is a cesspool, a shithole, a never-ending revolving ghetto of anti-white culture.
Never relax.
I would get the fuck out of
black.
there. And I feel bad for people that live in, I mean, they're not all North Carolinians like that, but I have to tell you that is the most disgusting and saddest thing that's taken this place. And yet we have not moved forward as a country yet to recognize and to adjust that. Because listen to what Melania says here. So Mrs. Trump, the first lady, the ever so lovely, says this.
And not to be harassed or murdered or women raped. I think it's very important. And what happened a few years ago, so many criminals came over the border, and he closed the border now a while back already. And we need to take care of our citizens.
Yeah. But by what means? By what metric? How much are we going to go? How far are we going to go to remove the criminal illegal scum? Are we going to still continue to allow violent, raging blacks who hate white Americans off a revolving door of people that arrested 25, 30 times? You know, after a certain point, they should be hung. You wonder why their ancestors were hung. You wonder why. And I'm going to show you why tonight. Oh, yes. And I said it. Lynchings. And I don't. Yes. It's you have no idea. No idea. The Jews socially engineered the black community and blamed it all on whites. Yes, absolutely.
They owned all the slave ships.
Yeah.
The Jews owned all the slave ships. They brought them over here on purpose.
Here you go. Marshall sent me this. And this happened in Florida. This is absolutely fucking disgraceful. Sick. Boys 12, 13, 15 charged as adults in a brutal rape of a 12-year-old girl in Florida. Miami police say a group of boys took a 12-year-old girl to a community garden in the city's Overtown neighborhood as one of them raped her for 30 minutes. 3 suspects, ages 12, 13, 15. Guess what color they are? Were initially arrested after the alleged rape that happened on June 18, 2025. But the records show 2 of them, the 12-year-old and the 13-year-old, were booked into Metro West Detention Center on Thursday to face adult charges. Both the 12-year-old Jusha Jones and 13-year-old Nelson Nunez appeared in adult court Friday, where the judge ordered them held without bond until the next court appearance. Records show the 15-year-old Xavier Tyson had an arraignment hearing in adult court. According to the arrest reports, Jones is charged with aggravated battery and false imprisonment. Nunez is charged with sexual battery on a minor by a minor kidnapping, and Tyson is charged with sexual battery, false imprisonment, lewd and lascivious conduct with a child. Wow. I mean, look at this. You see iPod right here. Your ancestors were lynched because of this kind of behavior you were going to talk about. Yeah. Yeah. And the coup de grace on this part. The second part of this, I'm not going to play the video because we're out of time. I'll just play this. Explains it all. And if you can decipher what she's talking about, because this goes beyond ebonics, I have no fucking idea what she's saying. But what she's telling you and what she's saying is horrible. One of the little boy's auntie who raped and put rocks in the little girl's mouth went live defending their behavior. Watch this.
Spanish Honduran, he don't give a fuck. He's savage. So he like, shit, you been talking about you wanted to do this to me. You finna, do me like this. So I guess he got aggressive.
I need
with
Bill
her,
Cosby to translate because I have no fucking
that.
idea
I'm
what
not
she's saying.
Sleep with all of y'all. I'm only sleeping with him. So I guess whatever happened, while they was running the train on her, the lady who stayed upstairs,
it's disgusting.
Lady who stayed upstairs must have on her way down to check her mail, or you get what I'm saying, drop her garbage or whatever. She seen them because how the building is made, where the lady who's seen the kids is like right there, and the farm is right there. So you can look over her balcony and see everything was going on in the farm. So I guess she spotted them. So in the midst of her spotted them, she like, what y'all doing in there? So that's when she wanted to yell, y'all stop, y'all stop, y'all stop. But she went home. She never told her mama anything. Going on 2 days. She never told her mama anything. When the lady came to find out who daughter it was, she went and told the stepdaddy. So when the lady told the stepdaddy, that's when the little girl went to tell her mama. They dragged her from the park. They took her there and they raped her. I ain't justifying nothing. Let me tell you something. I ain't finna sit here and read y'all comment. I got on here to check her. If you gonna tell a story the right way. Don't get on here trying to make it seem like my nephew on a run or for none of that. Because if he get direct 5-2, he already got a lawyer. But I know at the end of the day, your daughter ain't telling the truth. Your daughter only pressing charges because you forcing her to press charges. Your daughter was never.
How do we live side by side with these people? I mean, wait, I'm going to continue, but how do we live side by side with these people? How can we continue to live side by side with these people? You can't. You shouldn't. There's never going to be a time in my generation that we're all going to live kumbaya. Will things get better? Yeah, they will. But we're never going to be like holding hands and marching together. I know I'm not. You know, there are things that you just can't forget. You can't walk away from. You might get over. You might just cool down for a while and move on. But you'll never forget. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't really fucking care anymore. And I just want to live in a world where it's representative of me. Let's play this.
Virgin before she got touched. So what I'm supposed to sit here and say? All they ass need they ass whoop. I'm an old school mama. I beat ass. My oldest 19 years old, 20 years old. I don't play that. I'm not none of them mama that side with no child. When you right, you right. When you wrong, you wrong. I ain't justified what none of them did. But when you get on social media, you trying to make it seem like, oh, it's just one side, when in reality, you know the truth, and it's not that side. That ain't finna go down like that, especially when it comes to my family. How she know everything that happened and she wasn't there? Okay. Nobody got nothing to say?
She's gotten wrecked. She's getting wrecked right now.
Like I said, exactly. Yeah. My nephew, right is right.
Why would you go on social media? You know this is going to be recorded. You know that they're going to be using this against your nephew. Why would you? Yeah, exactly. I don't even understand what she was speaking, how she was speaking, and we needed a fucking translator. You have people from third world countries speak better than her. And I don't understand what they're fucking talking about. But it's just embarrassing. How do you live side by side with these people? But this is the world we live in. You know, and we're supposed to like what? And we're the problem. We're this.
We're supposed to take it.
No, we're taking shit.
Just accept it.
Yeah. This is the reason why you don't want to live near these people. You want to live far away from them.
Women need to get their shit together, man. No, learn, go to MMA, go to karate, do something. Because white women are, they have got to get they have got to know how to defend themselves. Because you are potential victims. I am so sick of this shit, Brett. Yeah. And back in the 70s, it was pretty cool. Everybody was more laid back. And like that one, the guy, Jesse, whatever his name was in the beginning. Back then, it wasn't as bad. It's just gotten worse. And ever since Obama, he ramped it up so bad. And now it's like out of control.
Yep. It's totally out of control. It's disgraceful, and this is the society we live in. And I just don't see a time we're all going to be able to walk safely down the street without having to carry a gun or a knife or a weapon. I mean, when is that going to be? Do you see that in your foreseeable future? I don't. I don't see it at all. It's okay for your nephew to be running a train. Yeah, exactly.
Disgusting.
I mean, she's justifying it. And she knows it's going to be played at the trial. I mean, she's that stupid to go on social media and say, this is going to be utilized as she's breaking this down.
They'd be running the train.
Yeah.
And she says it.
Yeah, and wait till that plays to the jury. Pretty disgraceful. And these kids, they're going to serve adult time, adult hard time. They're going to go in juvie for now, and then when they turn 18, they're going to serve hard time. And you go in jail for that shit, man, it's not going to be a pretty life.
Florida.
Yep. Have fun with that shit. Well, that's our show for tonight. There'll be no show on Friday. I'll be out of town. Hopefully I'll be able to do a show tomorrow and stuff. I got a ton of things to do. I want to thank everybody out there for supporting the platform, hanging around. Let's see who was on. Did I see? Oh yeah. Christy, what's up? Christy, S4922. What's up? Howdy. Marshall's right. Obama started. Yep. I see you. I see everybody over here. I don't want a Dem to win Florida. Yeah. You mean a Democrat governor to win Florida? Yeah.
Oh, geez,
I hear you, Linda Perino. No, I know. I got you. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you though, and that's the thing about what we have to deal with right now coming up in Florida. I'm not sold on Byron Donalds. I can tell you that right now. I'm not going to tell people not to vote for him, but I'm just not sold on him personally.
You're going to try to force him on us, unfortunately.
Yep. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think Fishback has made inroads, especially to the younger generation, because he talks the talk of a Groyper-esque in a lot of
the next,
yeah,
the next round. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see. But again, that's our show for tonight. Have a good night. God bless. Be well. Be safe. We will catch you. Hopefully, I'll be able to do a show tomorrow. So, all right. Good night. Ciao, Bella. Thanks, Marshall.
Yeah.
Bye.
Good night.